Alright, today I'm going to start on the exhaust for the 63 Impala. We're going to add some V-bands and make it polished. We'll do a polished exhaust on it. So let me show you what we're dealing with. So this car has a 2.5 inch exhaust right now. You can see maybe on the collector, hold on, you can see on the collector it's pretty ugly and the angle is really off and it doesn't look good, and it's got a 3-bolt flange. So we're gonna take the headers off, weld the V-band on it, and then we're gonna keep it 2.5 inch because there's no need for a 3 inch on this car. It's a low rider, so it's not like it's gonna be going fast or anything. We'll keep the same muffler. There's a Magnaflow, I don't know what series it is, and then we'll run it same right here. We'll run it out to the back, so I'll have to figure out, but I'll have to figure out the routing. But it's gonna go in between the shock, the spring, and the tires, so it'll go up in there, and then I'll have it exit back here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah. So let's get started. Alright, so I got the exhaust system out. Yeah, so I have to take the headers off, cut these flanges off, put V-bands on it, and then we won't have to mess with those anymore, and we don't have to worry about exhaust leaks. On this side, there was a body mount missing. They put a mount on the exhaust for like a hanger. These exhaust tips are all janky. They suck. These V-bands, they're alright. They're MIG welded though. They only put V-bands on one side, so I have to cut the muffler off, which is no big deal, but we'll be fixing that. Put V-bands on both sides, and then on this end is the flange for the header. You can see it's got this crushed end because it's not mandrel bent, and it's just really ugly. Some booger welds on there. Yeah, this one too. Just poor quality. So yeah, we're gonna fix that up. Previously, I welded the V-band flange on the headers, so I have this so far. And then and then I'm going to bring it out here and tucked as much as possible, and then have this turn in here. All right, so we're working on the Impala this early evening, and let's see, how should I characterize this? Well, the frame is basically, it's bending from the hydraulics on the 63 Impala. Let me just do a back or a far away shot of the car. So this is the car here. 63 Impala has hydraulics in it, and the problem is the frame is has too much stress on it, and the frame is a little bit, if you can see here, it's a little bit thin. So I took the liberty to sand all the paint off and all the Bondo because it was done really nicely, but with the frames moving around, then it's not going to obviously the paint's not going to hold. So what we need to do is we're going to box the frame, but before we do that, obviously we have to remove all the paint. This is where the hydraulics actually mount to the frame, so the box is going to extend past that by about maybe 6 inches or so. But as you can see, the frame again is really thin, so we're going to push this back up, push this seam back together. You see it's kind of poked up a little bit, and that is just from, I mean, the car hasn't even really been driven yet. It's just maybe moving the hydraulics up and down and getting on the trailer, and it's just already starting to sag. But you can see, I don't know how thick the frame is, but it's got to be like 80 thou or so. I mean, I thought it was maybe an 1/8 inch, but it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the plate into the main frame here, so that way it's a lot more, a lot more rigid, and that should be enough to hold it together. But you can see here, the frame looks relatively thick. I just don't know if it's why this is so thin. It doesn't really provide a lot of structural support. So what I'll do is, like I said, I'll tie it in all the way up here, and maybe even further than that.
depending on what we use. And I'll use a flat plate. I have my template here that I'm going to use, and it's gonna look something like this. I'll tie in about right here, and then I'll do some rosette welds, some plug welds here to get a lot of surface area onto the frame. And I'll use an 1/8 inch plate, and then I'll basically clad it with a 1/4 inch plate to really make it strong. So that is the plan. So what's the route going to be for this?
So I'm going to, let me see.
Quiet.
All right, so I'm going to use one of these 45s on each side to bring it up this way, and then I'm going to use I'm going to split up a 180 into 4 pieces so that I can get it to turn up here, and then it's going to come over here and back down.
Look at a cat.
And then come back down.
Okay.
And then I'm going to use a pie cut or two to get it to kick outward, so that it's not just hitting the floor and bringing up dust. And all
I see. So you're going to have the exhaust kind of come high and then it kind of come out right here, or?
So I'm going to try to get it as high as I can, but for now, this is kind of the angle that I'm working with.
Okay, I mean, it looks good.
Something like that. So it'll come up here and then turn.
Okay.
And then come back down and then out.
Oh, okay. All right.
So something like that.
And the front's already done, right? So
the front's done.
Let me see. Sure you already have that on video.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just how it's gonna sit, basically. Okay, looks cool.
Pretty close to where that is.
Okay. Don't forget about the O2 bong.
Oh no, yeah, I know.
I'm sure you probably didn't, but
no.
Okay, looks good.
All right, so now we're at a point where we're cutting our frame bracing. This is the base plate, and now we're going to cut out the reinforcement plate that's going to set directly on top of this. It'll kind of look like a skeletonized piece, and yeah, let's get after it. That's the piece cut out. Now we'll overlay it over the piece that we just cut out, the base piece, and see how it lines up. So that's the fit up right there.
Pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll dimple die these, and then I'll do a fusion weld around the perimeter. We'll do our bends to contour to fit the contour of the frame, and then weld it in place. What do you think? Looks sick?
Looks good.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
You will see this if you look under the car, so I want it to be nice.
Yeah.
So I just got to cut one more out, and then I'll passivate it in acid to remove the mill scale. Then I'll bend it, and then do the fit up stuff, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we have our frame braces pickled and bent to the geometry that we need on the frame, and so now we're gonna do the dimple die. And once we do the dimple die, then we'll bend the skeleton piece that goes on top, and then we will start to TIG weld, and then from there we can put in the frame. But here's the dimple die process. So now it's time to tack weld the bracing together, the top layer and the bottom layer. So I'm just going to tack it up and then move it to the car and test fit it. Alright, so I have everything welded, as far as, I shouldn't say everything, but the passenger side frame gusset, that's everything already TIG welded. It's pretty cool.
Alright, so this is a custom stainless steel TIG welded polished exhaust that I did for this. What year is this?
There's a lot of descriptive words there.
Yeah, what year is this? 70.
Oh, really? 63,
63,
dude.
63. Impala. So yeah, let's check it out from the front.
All right. I mean, you just finished it. Like, it's fresh off the assembly line.
Like it's,
right?
Yeah, we just finished it like, what, 5 minutes ago? Putting the lock nuts on.
Let's see what we got here.
So,
So from the front, looking back, you can see, I mean, everything is pretty much tucked.
it's tucked as much
Right.
as possible. Just
Underneath
like
the frame.
every
I mean,
other exhaust I've ever done.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right beneath the X frame, or it shouldn't beneath. It's a line to line with the bottom of it.
So in the beginning, from the headers, I had to use pie cuts instead of like just a mandrel bend.
Right. So that's these here.
Because of the radius
Okay.
being so tight.
I see.
And then I put it close to the control arm, so it wouldn't
Contact.
interfere with anything. You could take the oil filter out and far away from these coolant line or
fuel lines or
no,
training
those
cooler lines.
Training cooler lines, yeah. And then
Pretty cool.
Polished bung for the O2.
Well, it wasn't polished. You polished it, right?
I polished it, yeah. And then
Pretty cool.
yeah, everything just fits really well. The angles match like
Perfect.
perfectly. It's a mirrored image.
So if I can get a shot from underneath, and kind of give it like a background. Oh, that's pretty
Right.
cool. Now this is the zoomed out picture or camera or video, I should say. Yeah, you can see where it's just money. But that's what happens when you go to MC2 and SHP.
It tucks around the back here. Tucks around this I don't know what you call it, the tunnel, I guess.
It's no, that's the floor.
The floor.
I don't know what we call it. The floor tubs for your
Yeah,
feet.
Yeah, for your feet. It's like perfectly in between. Kind of hugs both the frame and the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tight in there. And then from there, it kind of just goes and follows the frame to the back. Let's see here. Oh, that was a custom mount that I had to make to hang the exhaust. Let's see here. You can see a little better there. So it's basically 4 pieces that are braced together with a stainless steel nut, and that's supposed to float. Because stainless steel expands at 20 thousandths of an inch per inch. So when the exhaust gets hot, it's gonna grow. And when it grows, it needs somewhere to go. So over here, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Look here. You see how it just goes around the springs. I'm gonna go on the outside real quick. So from the outside, same thing. Kind of just looks real nice and tucked. Did I drop my angle finder? Kind of goes around here like this.
Right by the spring, but also doesn't hit the body. That was a pain to do.
Really?
This section right here, coming up from under the floor,
Mm-hmm.
in between this and the spring
To
pocket.
make that bend.
Yeah, just to get it in the right spot.
And you really couldn't go, I mean, I guess you could go higher, but you'd have to, it'd be really intruding in the wheel well if you did that.
Yeah.
And then on the end, so you ended up going with a was that a Magnaflow?
It's a Gibson.
Gibson exhaust tip stainless steel. The customer,
Just for now.
he actually wants the exhaust to go through the bumper. So we'll have to do that at a later date. But for now, that's what it's gonna look like. So this is both.
It's another custom stainless steel.
Oh yeah, you made those.
hanger, so that the exhaust can move this way, and it has a stop right here.
Yeah. Again, stainless steel grows more than steel, so it needs somewhere to go.
Yeah. So eventually, it's just gonna come straight out. No tip, none of these tips, but just come straight out and then into the bumper, be flush or level with the bottom.
Looks pretty cool.
Even.
You're not gonna get a better exhaust system than that. I'll tell you that. I could tell you that. Okay, well, I guess it's time to put the tire back on and take it for another test drive.
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is this right here,
Oh, that right there.
where it hugs the frame
Uh-huh.
and the wheel wells, or the wheel wells, but the floor pans. That part is sick. And then the second best would be the very front.
Right here, the pie cuts.
Yeah, the pie cuts. That looks really good.